What's up guys, HOTSHOTFRONTIER back at it again with another video, and in this video guys, we're going to be doing a meta tier list post YCS Niagara Falls that happened last weekend. Happy Saturday, and thank you for clicking on the video and checking it out. But of course, it was crazy what happened over the weekend, last weekend, and of course, Roto was legal, so cards like Mole Charmy for Warlos, and of course, Dominus Impulse went rampant over there. But I have to say, shout out to Ryan Yu for getting so far with his Sky Striker strategy because he got second place, which was crazy. But it was great to see, of course. Now, for Top Cut, we did have decks like Azumina Snake Eyes being 9 representation. We do have 5 Yubel Fiendsmith, 5 Tempai. We had 5 Fire King Snake Eyes Azumina, 3 Rescue Ace Azumina. We had 1 Ritual Beast, 1 Lab, 1 Plant Link. We also had 1 Sky Striker, of course, 1 Millennium, and 1 Centurion. So there was just a lot to see over this YCS, but for today's listing, we of course are going to have best decks, next best thing, testing meta, experience pilot, and just no, it's just not the format yet, but maybe in the future. Now, we're gonna start off with, of course, Fire Kings, and that goes straight into the best decks category. I feel like now that Azumina is out, and of course, it has always used Snake Eyes in general, but with Azumina too, it's pushing to be the best deck. It did win this YCS, of course, so, you know, has a huge potential moving forward in the meta. But next up, we do have Snake Eyes, and still it is the best deck. It's the best variant to run it with Fire Kings, of course. There's so many other decks, like I said, so off the bat, I'm gonna put that on top. Next up is Branded, and just know we're Branded. I mean, come on. Branded Fusion got hit to 1, right? And even before that, Branded was still struggling, so it has to go to just no, unfortunately. And the Albion Sacred Fire Dragon didn't get banned, so that was a little confusing, but of course, they hit the Branded Fusion, so there it is. Next up, we do have Azumina, and this is more Azumina as a variant, of course, because again, this whole variants here, they won the YCS, right? Because Azumina, Snake Eyes, Fire Kings. So, but just in general, this is not just the total of Azumina, just like itself as a deck, more as a variant. It's just a very strong deck that can, of course, go ahead and make an Omnigate before your 5th summon, and then you're protected from cards like Nibiru. So it's just so strong, and I think moving forward, people really need to watch out about this variant. Moving on though, we do have the Plant Link, and Plant Link, I'm gonna have to say for now, Experience Pilot. Now, the TCG, it really just massacred Plant Link, but even though a lot of the Link 1s are still at 1, it's still a great deck, but I feel like at this point, you need someone who's very, very experienced with it to be able to do well at a YCS level, right? Next up, we do have Flu, and Flu, to be honest, I'm going to put it at testing meta. It's always in like an anti-meta deck. It's probably the best anti-meta deck that we currently have access to, but with cards like Mole Charmy, Warlos, and of course, Gloria, it really does put pressure on this deck, and even then, the deck was slightly still struggling, so I'm gonna have to go ahead and just put it here, but in the future, maybe we'll receive some more Flu support, or hey, I don't know, maybe more generic staples for the deck. Moving on, we do have Sky Striker, and like I said, shout out to Ryan Yu for getting second place with his Sky Striker strategy. Absolutely amazing, and personally, it's great because they've received newer cards and that old art Sky Striker Ray, of course, but it just wasn't really hitting the top tables of high events. So I'm glad he took this, and his deck list was very impressive as well. Really not playing any hand traps, just playing straight up just Sky Striker stuff, and people were not expecting it. When they versed him, you know, most of the time he was probably going second. He said, oh, I'll go second. They were like, what are you on, Tempai? Was not on Tempai. He completely surprised a lot of people, so again, shout out to him. But moving on though, we do have tier limits, and for now, I'm gonna say no. Tier limits are a very strong strategy. I think that people really wanted to combine it with something like Lightsworn and use, of course, cards that can mill, you know, a bunch of cards to the grave and just get a bunch of effects. But unfortunately, I don't think that's really happening right now in the meta, but who knows what will happen, of course, in the future, because, you know, with tier limits, there's always something that someone will cook up. Moving on though, we have Centurion, and Centurion, I'm gonna actually put next best thing. This was piloted by Pack, of course. He played Centurion Bestial, and he did really good with it, of course. And he played cards, really good cards, like the card that can actually search Max C in the side deck. I'm blanking on the name right now, but Contact C. But cards like that are really good, and I think, you know, when you come to a huge event like this and you bring cards that people are not expecting, they're gonna, you know, end up doing very well for that tournament. But yeah, shout out to him. He got really far in the tournament with it. But I think in the future, we're definitely gonna find a good place for Centurion. I think it's a solid deck next format. Moving on, we do have Millennium, and shout out to Millennium because now they finally have that searcher with the heart. And again, that's searching your Ankh straight up. You don't have to go through 1, 2 to get to the Ankh. It's amazing. I think that now that we do have that searcher for the deck's going to perform very well over the next few months. But I don't even know if it will get new support after that. But even then, I think that is very solid and could be a strong contender to be at the next, the best decks in the future. Moving on, we do have Gimmick Puppet, and yeah, that's just no. That deck is dead. You can still, perform the FTK, but with the limitations to the deck, I mean, it was a long time coming, of course, as the cards came out, but I'm just glad that people, got their, got everything out with the deck once they, they got the support and they played it, because yeah, I don't see that deck coming back at all. And then moving on, we do have Youll. It's still one of the best decks in my opinion. Now here's the thing though, the deck did not gain anything for Rhoda other than cards like the Warlos, but it did not gain new support, new Youll support, like further support. Now, not saying that the support it did receive in the past set was bad, but hey, when other decks receive a boost and your deck is still at the same level, then, it's expected that other decks will be better than you for now. But I think it's still a very solid deck. And remember, it was the best deck not too long ago before the support got announced. So always expect a comeback from this deck. This deck is insane with the Phantom Youll, of course. So I don't think that this deck is going to have any issue in the future. Next up, we do have Thunder Dragon, and I'm going to put this at Experience Pilot. I don't want to put it at Just No, because if a deck like Sky Striker from TOS format did very well, I think that Thunder Dragon can do very well as well with cards like Colossus at 2. I think that someone can cook up a very suitable list for the next format. But again, we'll see what happens. Next up, we do have Memento, and Memento, I think, is the next best thing. Now, the cards did get hyped up not too long ago, and the whole deck core is very, very expensive, but we didn't see much representation from the top cut. Of course, there was a Memento player that did squeeze in, but unfortunately he did not make it to the higher levels, like top 4. But regardless, the support is insane. I think, moving forward, it will be one of the best decks of the format. Next up, we do, of course, have Mimighoul, and Mimighoul might be testing meta right now. I want to say it's the next best thing, but personally, after the, post-Rhoda, with the new support, it did receive a lot of support and insane cards like the Mimighoul Charm. So cards like that, I think, are going to push this deck past its limit, and we'll see how far it will push into next format. Next up, we do have Rescue Ace, and for Rescue Ace, I'm actually going to put this at the next best thing. Now, people were playing as Mina with the deck, of course, and what it did is it provided protection so you can go into your Rescue Ace plays later on. I think, moving forward, this deck will definitely be at the best decks category later this format. Next up, we do have Whitewoods, and Whitewoods might be testing meta at the current moment. You can play as Mina with it, which is nice. You can also play, Fiendsmith. I've seen people play Fiendsmith with this, or one of the best ways is Runic, personally. Now, we'll see which is the best variant, going, past into the next format, but I think this deck has a lot of potential. It's a very, very cool strategy to see, and I don't think it's, really gone to that top level play as of yet for a YCS level, of course, but I think that the deck has still a lot of potential, and it will probably receive further support in the future, too. Moving on, we do have Salamangreat, and for Salamangreat, again, I want to say that it's a great TOS format deck, which it is, but in terms of the fire decks, we might have to just put this at, we'll put this at Experience Pilot. I don't want to say Just No, but I think the deck really does need new support or a different way to play it. I think at this point, you're playing the Bonfires, you're playing everything for the Year of Fire, but it just needs a little more. It's not the best Year of Fire deck. But moving on, we do have Melodious, and for Melodious, I will put testing meta. Now, we did not see a Melodious player for top cut, but doesn't mean the deck is terrible. It's just a very unique strategy. I think that if people, forget how to play against it, they definitely will be punished severely. So that's something to watch out for. Moving on, we have Ritual Beasts, and Ritual Beasts have been on the next best thing for a while. They can play crazy cards like the Protos, they can play Thunder Dragon Colossus if they want, they can play D-Shifter. It's probably one of the best decks currently out there that can main D-Shifter, other than, of course, Flu, but it's just such an insane strategy. And I think that it will definitely be at this level at some point. Anything in this next best thing tier, of course, has a huge potential of being the next best deck. Moving on, we do have Runic, and like I said, I personally think that Runic is the next best thing, but we'll put it with testing meta along with the white woods, because again, I think that might be the best variant, but you can also play it pure. There's so many different ways you can play it. Come on guys, runic found to 2. You already know, right? But anyway, let me know what you guys think, of course, down below, how the list looks so far. And then the final deck, of course, is Tempai. And Tempai, I think despite all of the hits, right? The Sang and Summoning to 1, yeah, it's still one of the best decks, personally. It's the best going second deck by far. It wants to go second, of course, but even now it has better plays going first. You can go ahead and make your Heraldic Seal, of course, and then go into a card. I'll put it on the screen, but when it is summoned, it will destroy something too, so it's further interruption. This deck is crazy, and I think that, you know, moving past it, I think it has a huge potential of being the best deck of the format for sure. If the Sang and Summon did not get hit at all, I think it would be the best deck, personally. But guys, that's all I have for you this Saturday on the, you know, meta tier list post YCS Niagara Falls. Let me know down below, of course, your opinions. How do you feel about this list? Did I miss any decks, of course? And what do you think the next best deck moving into the next format will be? But guys, that's all I have for you for today's video. If you guys liked the video, make sure to give it a huge like, comment down below, of course, your thoughts. And if you guys are not subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn notification bell on so you're updated the next time I upload new videos. All right, guys, that's all I have for you for today. I hope you guys enjoy your day or night, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace.